Once again, we're here to tell you about the Chester County Studio Tour on May 15th and 16th, which we will be participating in for the second year in a row. While we've talked a lot up until now about us and our work, we haven't spent as much time talking about the other artists who will be at Studio 25, and we thought that now would be a good time to change that. Aaron and I had discussed the idea of talking to other artists to break out of our shells and get to know the other creative people in our community. Now, for the first time, we're giving it a try as a way to spread the word about the other amazing artists we'll be spending our time with during the tour. And our very first guest is the host of Studio 25, Adrian Martinez. Adrian is an accomplished full-time oil painter in the Western European tradition who produces breathtaking, large-scale paintings of exquisite detail and beauty. He also works as an instructor, both at Yellow Springs as a group instructor and as a private tutor. Every conversation we've had up until now has been deep and enlightening, so we were really looking forward to this project. We hope you'll enjoy our interview with the wonderful Adrian Martinez. Let's start with the easy one. How long have you been involved with the Chester County Studio Tour, and what has the experience been like?
This is my fifth one, I believe, fifth or sixth. This is the third one consecutively. The other ones had several year gaps, and I've realized that I really needed to connect with the neighborhoods where I live, the artists in the county. That's good for me because, as you know, my professional job is by myself in a room painting pictures. So I spend my whole life like that. And that's too much of that it's necessary for me. I have to have that kind of alone time. But it's not good for me or my art to be completely isolated. And that's where Jeff Schaller told me that you need to get out more.
Right. Sounds like something Jeff would say.
Yeah, I mean
that's definitely,
he's a very smart guy, and he's looking out for me, and it'd be good for me and good for my art. And I must say it has been. I do large paintings, generally, sometimes, often very large, which is my preference. They're expensive. And doing this, I have to do very different stuff, smaller, more accessible. And I was saying to a conversation I had with him this, but I don't do that. I don't do it. So do it. It'll be good for you. And indeed, it was because I can do all these experiments on a small scale. So I'm excited. I'm going to meet all these people. I get to talk about stuff like how we met.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right there. And experiment with all these strange ideas of you think the simple technique I use, oil painting, I would have had it figured out by now. But I think the reason I do oil painting is because I'm always at this sizzling edge of what I know and don't know with them. And I can afford to do that in these little studies.
Nice. And
people seem delighted by them. So it's all good. So I will always be from now on.
How has living in Chester County influenced your work and or your life?
Well, it's certainly done a lot of both. I moved here in the first place from Texas because I had a career there, and Leah said, we have to leave. You're root bound here. We travel to Europe every couple of years, and I stuff my cheeks full of stuff like a chipmunk looking at it. And then I get back to Texas and regurgitate it in my paintings. And she said, you have to be where you're painting. I love Texas. I love Texans. But art isn't a real thing to do there. Here, and this environment, a couple 100, 300 years old, I need that period of time, that timeline, to use the kind of layers I want to have. We would come here on my way to my gallery in New York every year, like a caravan. We come through this part on the way to New York, and we always loved it. And this was not my idea. It didn't occur to me. Leah said, you got to sell the house and move east. And so here we are. Now, how it's influenced me is the history, which I will get into the history wherever I am, because that's the meaning of my art. Wherever I am, the history is very important. So it happens to be this kind of history, as you all know, the colonial stuff. And so that's what I got into. If I was somewhere else, that would be, if I was in France, it would all be about the French Huguenots or something. So it's very rich, taken for granted by most people that live here. It's actually a perfect place for me to be. For the first time in my life, Leah and I are home.
Can you describe an aspect about working as an artist that you think most people wouldn't know or expect?
I get the idea that people feel that I do some sort of magic. I don't know how you do that. I can't do that. I don't. It's just a gift that you have and that sort of thing. You've all heard that. As a kid, I was never really interested in getting any gifts or doing any magic. As a kid, I always wanted to make. I wanted to work. I wouldn't say I wanted it to be hard, but I needed to have my mind and my body fully engaged in something. Because I have dyslexia and ADD, and I can't, there's too much chaos going around me, so I have to have this thing that's absorbing me completely, 100% forever. It's the thing that I love passionately, obviously, but it's also the thing that makes me work the hardest. I think people would be surprised.
I think a lot of people don't acknowledge that a lot of work goes into creative work. A lot of people think it's just messing around, but it's work. It takes a lot of work. It takes work to get good at it, and it takes work to practice it and do it every day.
Yeah, but people don't understand that. They see it as a hobby or or you're essentially playing.
Yeah.
Somehow you've been able to monetize your play.
Right.
So you lucky dog. I have to work for a living.
Man.
I have a good friend that once, this was years ago when he said this, somehow it was in a context where I told him I had to have sleeping pills at night. And he was profoundly shocked. And he said, why? He said, you're an artist. I mean, what do you have to worry about?
Oh my goodness.
He said that in a very disingenuous way. I mean, I didn't answer, but I was
You probably
just
had
thinking,
like a short circuit at that point. You're like,
no idea.
What do I have to worry about? What don't I have to worry about?
Yes, exactly. What don't I have to worry about?
Oh, yes, we understand that very well. All right, so this one was kind of just a fun question. I threw it in there because Aaron suggested it, and I thought it was too funny to leave out. But is your house haunted? Why is your house haunted? Do you enjoy living in a haunted house? And are the ghosts nice?
Well, my family and I were always hoping this was haunted house. And the wonderful people that sold us this house, we weren't looking to buy a house, but they decided this was our house. That's an amazing story, and sometime I'll tell you that. But it was haunted. We were informed. But the times that we had been over here, the ghosts had said that we met with their approval, that we were the people they wanted.
Oh, wow.
So we were okay with that. So we moved in, and just a few days after that, I remember we were sitting on the porch resting from moving in, and this group of half dozen kids came by on a bicycle, and they stopped and they looked at us, and one girl said, you living in that house? Is that your house? I said, yes. And they screamed. Said, oh, that's the witch's house. And then they screamed and ran off. And that was within a few days of us moving. And since then, we've heard from the neighbors all kinds of stories. And the Downtown Paranormal Society came here and spent a couple hours examining it.
That's so cool.
And hoping we had stories, but alas, we had none. But not for lack of wanting.
What is the most fulfilling or satisfying aspect of making art and/or being an artist?
I probably already answered that. But to add to that, I have a profound feeling that there's meaning in life, and I'm always on the verge of figuring that out. That drives me forward, and I think my superpower is my capacity to learn, which is connected to my curiosity. I have this curiosity and capacity to learn, and it drives me forward because I know I'm going somewhere, because there's something to learn, there's a meaning. When I was a little kid, it was horrifying to me how transient, this is very much like you were talking about the sun eating the world. I guess a few of us have that however form we get it, is that this can end so fast and so definitively. Oh my God. And I can't stop time. And I see all around me these things that are people, places, and things that are achingly beautiful. And I know it's a moment. It's their time of perfect beauty. And I see it happen, and in my awareness, it's gone. And I found that appalling at much too young an age. Just like Aaron was much too young an age to think of these things.
Yeah, my parents thought I was really smart, so they gave me all these science books, and then I found out that the Earth was going to end.
Yeah.
And that was something in my brain.
Right.
And that was good, but I mean, that was the vistas of chaos opened up. But I thought, I can, in my time in museums, which I spent every minute I could, and archives, that I can make a picture of that moment. Okay, so it's gone. And you could say, well, that was just a meaningless moment, and you didn't see it. Nobody else saw it. You already forgot about it. So your life is just random, meaningless chaos, and only a self-absorbed narcissistic personality could think that life had any meaning. And what they come up with, the meaning is it's just all about them.
Right.
That didn't interest me, but I could make a picture of that and then have it and then share it. And even hundreds of years from now, perhaps, if it was still around, other people could look at it. And I've looked at paintings in museums that the artist was as close to me as breath on the back of my neck. Looking at a Velasquez or some dead guy for 500-600 years ago, but they're not dead, and they saw that moment, and now I'm experiencing it, and I'm experiencing them. So that was what was the question?
No, that's great. That is a really fulfilling thing about doing art. In a way, like that moment has the meaning that you perceive in it and also impart to it. And then, if that makes sense, like the act of capturing that moment also kind of captures the meaning and creates a meaning.
Yeah, and it's not just a fun thing or some amusing thing you do because you have a little time on your hand. I mean, there's an emotional urgency that you do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And people see their life going through an hourglass, that sand coming down, and they want to pinch it in the middle and just hold it there. And I mean, that's not living. I mean, you got to let it flow as much as that breaks your heart. But it's not without advantages, because there's always new things to fall in love with, new images, new gestures, a light on somebody's face in the afternoon, and there's always more of that. That's how I think I deal with that and say, yes, there is meaning, and that's why. We're so bombarded today, particularly with stuff, with images. We have to edit out 99% of it. To stop and look at something, to invest that kind of time and emotion in it, I mean, why would you do that? It's just another picture. It's just more of the chaos, and it becomes this relief, hopefully. It's just a stop. Just stop. Take a breath. Look at this thing. Your blood pressure goes down, and when you're in a museum and looking at paintings, it's a very human. I think that's directly connected with the guy in the cave that put his hand up. The
the cave paintings. I love those.
I mean, that's all of a sudden 80,000 years disappear, and you're right there, and he's right there. That's magic. You can look at anything, but it's not necessarily a meaningful experience. So can you make anything meaningful? Is that a capacity that human beings have? Or is there a capacity they look around, they find meaningful things, they say, oh, I want to paint that because that's meaningful. And I think both are true in a way, can be true simultaneously, mostly not. It's one or the other. But yes, you could, I think that you could look at those paints on that palette and paint it in such a way that it would be a really cool painting. And you'd say, I want to buy that painting. As it is now, to just take a picture of that, it wouldn't necessarily be. It would just be a record of some stuff. There's also views we've seen of sunsets and things that are inherently spectacular. Or not just big, could be something small and intimate, some kind of seed and some certain kind of light. And it's up to us to sort that out.
I was thinking of how when I was in my 20s and really angsty, I had a phase where I would do a lot of abstraction. I don't really have the patience for that anymore, but I think it was an important sort of internal and external process that I had to go through. Some of these things are necessary to kind of go through and learn from them and incorporate some of what you learn into it, and then like sort of integrate that into your craft.
I was the same way. I mean, all my degrees are in abstract art. I mean, my career started as I would never painting pictures. Oh God, that's what the world needs. One more picture. We need art. And so I was rabidly anti painting or anything like that, and that was a mental and spiritual enema that I had to go through, and then I could start eating again. But it made you a better artist. That
I think it helps.
It's a thing you have to. At some point, you just have to clear the deck.
Yeah, and I think kind of like breaking it down into these really basic abstractions kind of helped me to build it back up again, too.
I also think it gives you a strong compositional sense.
My best friend, who's an artist, would draw like these incredible like little sketches on just random pieces of paper, whatever was lying around, and it kind of gave me the same feeling as like Leonardo da Vinci with his notebooks, just kind of creating things to inhabit that space. So that's something that I've always tried to take with me into like whatever I do.
If I understand you, it's mark making that you have to do in language and a kind of a code. Maybe you don't figure it out at that moment, but you're making notes, as they say, visual as well as written.
Yeah.
And I don't see that's fundamentally different than what we see in these 60,000-year-old cave paintings where there seem to be some strange disregard of perspective or composition. They're just sort of laid over each other. And you think, why aren't they lining all these bulls up? And they're creating a language right before your very eyes, and that's a record of it. And
it's incredible, isn't it?
It's breathtaking. I hope I get to see that someday. I can.
In as little or as much detail as you like, describe your process for creating a painting.
Well, I see something, and that starts a process. And I have the luxury of, that is my job, that is how I make a living, seeing things. And I'm very grateful that I've been able to spend my life doing that. And I have a very strong visual memory. It's not photographic, but it's close. And because I'm walking around like everybody walks around and just doing stuff and looking, but I can click into this place where and I'll spend a moment, or maybe 10 minutes, but usually it's just a moment, and I'll go into that mode where my brain is taking pictures, and I'd say, well, this I'm going to remember, so I'm looking at the light and the color, and I'm making all those calculations. So that's process number one, and I may make a painting of that night, or start not painting, but sketch it and thinking about it and things like that. But say I do all that, and then the next stage is, and it may be years for me to pick that up again. There are things that I've seen a decade ago that 2 decades ago that I've never painted or drawn or anything, and I know it's not the time for me to do that. But then it is the time, and then I start doing sketches, and then I start usually a collection of images from magazines or pictures, or now online. I just look, just because I'm a total image junkie, and I love reading art books and art history books, whether they're on the subject or not, but there's something to engage with. So I have a very strong intellectual academic component to my joy. Then I start making canvases, and then pencil sketches, oil sketches. Not so much with this, but the painting behind you, I do very detailed drawings, and then I do a very detailed drawing on the canvas. It all gets painted over, and more than I need to do. I mean, I say more than I need. I mean, apparently I needed to do it for some reason, not for the painting. I would just need a few scratches, but I had to go through that process again and again and again. And then I know it one way, and then I know it another way, and then I know it another way. When I know it enough ways, then I pick up the brush. And at that point, it becomes, not immediately, but after a while, it becomes a reciprocal relationship where the painting's talking back to me. So I've been scheming and doing my plans and doing my work, and at some point the painting starts saying, oh, well, yeah, you don't have a clue. You gotta do this over. If that doesn't happen, in other words, I'm just illustrating my idea, then it's just, to me, an illustration. Why did I do that painting? If it didn't get into that space where the painting is talking back and, giving me sass or criticism or encouragement, then that's why I do that, to have that experience. And that usually happens. I mean, if it doesn't, then it's not a painting I needed to do. But that almost never happens anymore. And I know when I'm finished, but if it doesn't get sold for a while and it hangs around too long, I start having this need to pick up. And Leah knows when that's happening. She breaks my brushes and grabs it. She said, you're done that painting. It's done.
Oh, that's great.
Don't touch it. And she's right. I mean, it's because I would just keep eating them up if I didn't.
You said you sketch more than you need to. Do you feel like the sketching is almost like a rehearsal of like what you intend to do when you paint it? Or do you feel like going over the lines sort of helps inform
It's exactly what you do. When you're drawing, you take it away and you put it. I mean, I don't do it electronically. I mean, I'm doing it with a pencil. But, I mean, why do you need to do that 15 times? That's. I mean, why are you doing it? It's like my writing sometimes too. That I'll write the first sentence, and I could fill up 3 pages of the same sentence, written endlessly again, and maybe a comma has changed or a word has changed, or maybe it's exactly the same. I mean to write a different sentence, but it comes out the same. No, I have to keep doing the same thing until something different happens.
That's exactly what my writing process is like. And that's why I hit the backspace key so much. That's why I can't function without it. He always tells me to stop deleting. I can't stop deleting because I have to write the same thing.
I just want you to get used to moving forward. That's all.
That's not going to happen. But ideally, yeah.
I love the idea of the painting talking back to you. I definitely know what you mean when you say that. I've never heard it described that way, that the painting's actually telling you what to do.
Paradoxically, it's that moment when you're not just the artist, you're the consumer. You're the viewer. You're the guy that walks in the gallery looking and finding the painting I mean, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Where you have that kind of eerie objectivity when you're 2 people. You're the museum goer or the gallery goer or the art lover looking at a painting, saying, "Yeah, that's pretty cool, but I don't think he should have done that right there. I think he could have done that better." And then the artist comes back and say, "What do you know? This is exactly what I had to do right now." And then you just have to argue that out.
Yeah.
And sometimes give
great.
up and say, yeah, you're right.
I love that way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I really like that perspective.
But you have to have that schizoid. You can't afford to have it all the time. But you have to have it at the right time for the right amount of time. That's the call and response thing.
It's like a conversation interaction.
Much like this one.
Yeah.
Oh, full
Yes,
circle.
I think sometimes, and people have asked me indirectly, how famous do you want to be? Famous, and I was thinking, what it would be like, how much money you want to have, or how many, how long your yacht would be, or. But I would say, because I'm an abyss of ambition, I would say, how famous I want to be. I want to be so famous that I could go into any museum in a world when it was closed after hours, and they would let me in. And I'd be there by myself.
Yeah.
As long as I wanted, looking at whatever I wanted. And I could have a bottle of Petrus and a glass of wine, and just somebody would follow me around with a chair.
That would be ideal.
I would sit there and wherever, and that's how famous I want to be.
That's
that is
the dream.
The most interesting answer I think I could have ever expected to that question. That is really cool.
That is. The
I
dream.
love your idea.
That's wonderful.
Your concept of success is so specific, and it's just delightful. It really is.
They would say, the Louvre closes at 4:30. Oh, it's Adrian.
But not for you.
Go right in where nobody will bother you.
That would be absolutely ideal.
Wouldn't that be
wonderful? Yes.
I love that concept.
Yeah.
A couple of sandwiches and a nice bottle of wine. What more would you need from life?
That'd be fantastic.
Just live there.
That was one of the perks, I thought, of being president of the United States, that you could go to the National Gallery. And I had some good friends that worked there, and I was telling them that. And they said, we wouldn't let him in. You can't just walk in here. And so that was the last perk of ever me wanting to be president of the United States. Right. If I couldn't do that, what's the
point?
That's amazing. That is so amazing.
Thanks for watching our interview with Adrian Martinez, and thanks again to Adrian and Lyon Martinez for inviting us into their home and for the always insightful and inspiring conversation. If you would like to come visit us during the studio tour, Adrian Martinez is at Studio 25, and that will be May 15th and 16th. You can find more information in the description below. And also, if you are interested in finding out more about Adrian and his artwork, his website is adrianmartinez.com. As always, check the description for more information and links, and we hope to see you there.